Hello, I'm Bel Powley, and this is What's in My Box. This is a picture from the show I have out right now. A Small Light is about Miep Gies, who in Amsterdam in 1942 hid the Anne Frank family in the secret annex, and she was responsible for looking after them and taking care of them for the next 2 years. She was also responsible for finding Anne's diary after the war was over and handing it to Otto, and it then was published. That's Billy, who plays Anne right there. Our set of the annex, it was a direct replica of the actual annex. It was exactly the same size, and I can't tell you how claustrophobic it is. I mean, just filming in there for a day with 9 other actors, so I can't even imagine what it must have been like for these people who had to live there for 2 years. It was an absolute dream working with this man. This is Liev Schreiber, who plays Otto. His performance as Otto is so beautiful. It's so quiet and subtle and arresting, and it's a great kind of antithesis to my Miep, who was like quite an outspoken, chaotic, loud person, really. So the scenes that we have together are some of my favourite. That is a bald cap. He does have hair in real life. I'm sure he'd want me to say that. It was the first time he wore that bald cap, and I can tell you he was not happy. It was really hot. It was like the height of summer in Prague, and it was our first scene that we had to film together, and it was the first time he had the bald cap on, and he was wearing a woolen suit, and he wasn't happy, but I think I managed to cheer him up. We got to eat cake in that scene, so that was quite nice. Oh, hi Joe. So this is Joe Cole, who plays Jan Gies, Miep's husband, and when we first meet them, she meets him in a club, and she like talks to him and then ditches him and leaves him kind of just like hanging and sitting there. And then she meets him again a couple months later when she goes to a random house to get a cat, and she doesn't recognise him. And he's like really offended. But then they like kind of fancy each other and they fall in love and they're flirting. I love their relationship so much. It's so special, and it was such a dream working with Joe. He's a great friend of mine, and it was very easy having this kind of chemistry with him because he's such a lovely person. This is the fantastic Eleanor Tomlinson and Tom Stourton. Eleanor plays Tess, who's Miep's best friend. It's actually the only made-up character in the whole show. The showrunners wanted to show another young person who, instead of deciding to do something during the war, decided not to do something. So Miep and her best friend, you know, when the war starts, they're at the kind of same place, but they go in opposite directions. Miep decides to help people, and Tess is a passive bystander. If I had a friend who was dating an extremist, I think I'd stop being friends with them. I hope most people would, right? First I'd try and like convince them to like leave them, but then if they weren't going to, once they knew the person was extremist, I'd be like, you're out. Goodbye. Ah. Oh my God, the next one. Do I even need to say anything? If you don't know, this is Jennifer Aniston, and this is a lady called Reese Witherspoon, who I was so lucky to get to work with. This is from the morning show, and it was an incredibly surreal experience for me, especially with this one. In England, after school, when I was in high school, Friends used to be played on repeat on like one of our main channels. So I've honestly watched every episode 10 million times. I mean, I think most millennials have. I honestly couldn't like speak for like the first 3 months. People would ask me how I was. I'd be like, I'm fine. Because I was just like, so starstruck.
Who was your favorite couple on Friends?
Oh, definitely Ross and Rachel. 100%. Right?
Not Joey and Rachel.
No. Oh my God. Okay. This is a photo from a project I did years ago called Wildling. That's just what I look like then. I've had a lot of work done since then. It's about a girl who turns into a werewolf. That is like 7 hours of prosthetics. It was mental. Actually don't know if I'd ever do that again. It was a really intense experience, actually. What drew me to this project was it's just a very feminist story. Like, her turning into a werewolf was kind of a metaphor for her coming of age and her turning from a girl to a woman, and I found that really interesting. And Liv was amazing. That's Liv Tyler, in case you didn't know. Look at her. She looks so cool. She was so great. I loved working with her. Oh, this was such a fun movie to make. Also, look, baby face. So that's me and Elle Fanning and Douglas Booth. And it was a film called Mary Shelley, about Mary Shelley, the writer who wrote Frankenstein. And Douglas played Percy Shelley, Mary's kind of like lover. And I played Claire Claremont. She was Mary's younger sister. And when Mary ran away from home to be with Percy, she kind of tagged along. She actually ended up having a baby with Lord Byron. They were scandalous young people. This was actually the film which I met my now fiancé. That's him. It's not Elle. Though she'd be a great fiancé too. Oh, I have so many good memories from this. I mean, mainly because I met, my nearly husband. But we got on really well from, the moment we started filming. And then we kind of just, we've been together ever since, really.
Did people on the set know that you guys were together?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously thought they didn't, but of course they did. We definitely weren't very subtle. Sort of snogging behind doors and stuff. This is a picture of the guy from the film. And this is when he proposed to me. He proposed to me on Primrose Hill, which is a really beautiful park in London. This was my breakout role. This project means so much to me. It was called Diary of a Teenage Girl. I don't think I'll ever get bangs again. It's not a good look on me, is it? So that's Kristen Wiig and Alexander Skarsgård. It was a really special project to me and a lot of other people, actually. It was kind of the first movie that truly explored what it's like to discover your sexuality as a teenage girl in a really honest and raw way, which is really what drew me to the project. And I had so much fun filming it. We made it in San Francisco and it was a big success. Intimacy coordinators didn't exist then. This was, I think 2014 we made this. And yeah, there's a lot of nudity and sex in it. In my opinion, all very tastefully done. It's explicit, but it's all told from the point of view of this girl. It's not gratuitous. But yeah, it was obviously pretty intense, having never had an on-screen kiss to go to be doing sex scenes with Alexander Skarsgård. It was a good first experience. And I know, other people might not have had the same good experiences pre-intimacy coordinators, but this one was a good one for me. It was the first time I'd done a movie. So, now I'm a jaded old hag. And that was my box. A women's 9.5. You paid $79.99. And for the market price was $139. That is a deal. 42% saving.
Was that your breakthrough?
No. I appreciate that, but no.
We're fans in the house.
Really? Of this? You're a fan of this?
I saw it. I was like, this would be perfect.
But you've not seen this film?
I did see it.
Oh my God.
It was on Netflix.
I think you're the only person in the world.
Besides you and Liv.
I've seen it. I wasn't going to sit through me looking like that.